President, have you made a decision on what level you will seek on tariffs in the European Union?
We have made a decision. We'll be announcing it very soon, and it'll be 25%, generally speaking, and that'll be on cars and all of the things.
Yes.
The European Union is a different case than Canada, different kind of case. They've really taken advantage of us in a different way. The European Union was formed in order to screw the United States. That's the purpose of it. And they've done a good job of it, but now I'm president.
What will happen if these countries or the EU retaliate?
They can't. I mean, they can try, but they can't.
China did.
They really, really can. America is powerful, but our wealth doesn't necessarily translate into manufacturing strength. In fact, it's the opposite. The United States of America is easier to tariff than any of the countries we're looking to tariff. The more you rely on a country's exports, the harder they are to tariff because you rely on their exports. Tariffing China is hard. Tariffing Mexico is hard. Tariffing America? Well, America does produce a lot, but relative to how much we take in from other countries, we're a vulnerable target. Europe is more than capable of meeting their own productive needs, you know? Not for everything, but for a lot of things. I really hope he does it, man. I really want him to do it. Biden upheld China tariffs from Trump's first term, Vosh. Yeah, and they were more targeted than the general ones we're seeing now, and they were stupid. I thought they were bad. I strongly disagreed, especially with the EV tariffs that Biden put forward. But we did see significant inflation during Biden's term. So, you know, I mean, we kind of did see, to at least some extent, an effect there.
They are pledging to, sir.
That went into effect, China's retaliatory tariffs on the 10th of February. Has there been any impact that you've been able to observe?
That's right. No, they can.
That wasn't because of the tariffs? I mean, there were like a number of factors that contributed to it. It's not, nobody can tell you like the breakdown of how much inflation was caused by one thing versus another. It's kind of a general estimate.
Do it, and they can try, but the numbers can never equal what ours, because we can go off. We are the pot of gold. We're the one that everybody wants. And they can retaliate, but it cannot be a successful retaliation because we just go cold turkey. We don't buy anymore. And if that happens, we win.
Oh, no. Not us tariffing European exports. Oh, God, no. Yeah, they've delayed the tariffs again on Canada and Mexico. Trump is losing credibility, says Marco Oviedo. Incredible. The peso and Canadian dollar get a boost after U.S. President Donald Trump pushes back the deadline for levies and goods from both countries for the third time now, because it was supposed to be on day one, and then they pushed it back, was the 28th or whatever? They pushed it back like a week or something. And then it got pushed back again to, no, this is the fourth time. This is the fourth time. It was day one, and then day 8 or something, and then 1 month out on like, you know, February 3rd, February 2nd. And now this is the fourth time. It's the fourth time it's been delayed. What a strong negotiator. What a master negotiator. This will go on for 4 years. Good. Just make all of our allies despise us and rely on themselves rather than us. Great. The art of the deal. The peso strengthened as much as 0.9% against the US dollar to lead gains in emerging markets, while the loonie erased losses. Trump said tariffs on Mexico and Canada will go into effect on April 2nd versus the previous deadline of March 4th. Oh, man. Which is more destructive, actually applying the tariffs or constantly threatening and creating insecurity? The insecurity of the tariff is preventing companies from investing in any enterprise that would rely on there not being tariffs. So actually applying the tariffs would be bad, but the constant insecurity of will they, won't they, ends up producing a lot of the same downstream consequences. Either you tariff Canada and Mexico, which makes goods from there more expensive, or you keep threatening to, which prevents companies from investing in developing and incorporating those resources into their supply chains, which also makes them more expensive. The stability is important. Isn't this bad? Don't we want the tariffs to be enacted to speed up our accelerationism? It's not our accelerationism, okay? The collapse of America is the light forward for all workers across the world, okay? God's smiting this country into a stricken pile of ash, okay? It's in all of our best interests. That being said, the instability is still bad for this country, so, you know. Classic. A lot of parts for John Deere tractors are built in Mexico. Now people are stockpiling and creating artificial shortages in the event. The euro whipsawed and edged lower to trade just shy of the US 105 mark after Trump said tariffs on products imported from the European Union would be 25%. Canada's loonie. Is the loonie your term for a Canadian dollar? I have literally never heard that before. I have never heard that before. Yes? Is this like a really antiquated term? And the $2 coin is the toonie? I have never heard this in my life. I have never heard this in my life. That's crazy. It's the bird on our dollar coin? Okay, I'm not shaming at all. I think it's delightful. I'm just saying I've never heard it. I'm just saying I've never heard it. And it's not like I don't come into contact with Canadians pretty often. I'm right here, you know? I thought you watched NL. Is NL really Canadian? Didn't he say, like, he was embarrassed by the hick Canadian accent he grew up around, so he watched American media to train himself to speak like an American or something like that? I don't think he uses those terms. Either way, I think it's delightful. He does? Okay, maybe it just soared over my head and I didn't know what he was talking about. Okay. All right. No, I'm delighted. I think it's great. Knowledge is great. The day I stop learning new things about our beautiful world is the day I die. I only want to learn new things about the world. It's delightful. You're hitting me with new knowledge. Great. I lived a little today. What the hell? Oh, man. Sorry. This article is from yesterday. Donald Trump said Monday his tariffs on Canada and Mexico are starting next month, as in March 3rd. Whoops! This is one-day-old news. In actuality, it's been delayed by another month. This is not good for the markets, man. Like, financially speaking, the instability of having a president keep whiplashing back and forth like this. God almighty. Our country will be extremely liquid and rich again. Me describing my pee after I... Is it asparagus? I don't think this works. I think this fails from the first principle, I feel. Piss after a night drinking. Can you drink so much that your piss is alcoholic? You can't, right? Because the kidney wouldn't let alcohol through. You couldn't have alcoholic piss. You can? That's probably not good for you. Yeah, it's waste, but it's waste that your liver is supposed to chemically break down. Well, okay, so ignore all of that, basically. Don't worry about it. Tariffs on Canada and Mexico are unpopular. I could have told you that. Again, as soon as you start, like, directly threatening people's wonderful Canadian Viberg leather service boots, or perhaps their hand-woven by indigenous people huaracha sandals that come from Mexico, you know, that's when people get mad, me specifically. It's, or maple syrup. I don't know. In the abstract, Americans are about evenly split. 35% of respondents say they were supportive of using tariffs, 33% were opposed, and nearly the same amount were neither or unsure. I love statistics, man. Which Americans want tariffs? Yeah, about 1/3 say yes, 1/3 say no, 1/3 say they don't know. Okay. The Canada-Mexico tariffs might not be so popular. Have you seen the Trump-Gaza video? Go back. Look at the video recording. It's YouTube. You can buffer through all of it. You can't all come in and say, hey, have you done the thing you did 5 minutes ago every time? You can't do that every time. You have to go backwards in the stream and look. You can't keep asking that. What do you want me to answer that? At least ask chat rather than me. Hey, did he do X? Rather than did you do X? Basic etiquette. If you came into a classroom late, and you sat down in your seat, you're 5 minutes late, you're hoping the teacher doesn't notice you, do you then raise your hand and interrupt the entire class to go, hey, did you cover this yet? You ask the person next to you. Those specific tariffs might not be so popular. The Public First polling found that just 28% of American adults support specifically applying tariffs to Canada, while 43% were opposed. More than half of those polled said tariffs would damage the U.S. relationship with Canada. Respondents were even more opposed to using tariffs against Great Britain. What about the entire EU? Which Great Britain's no longer a part of course. Man. Tariffs in Mexico were also slightly unpopular. Yeah. Only tariffs on China were viewed positively overall. Man, Americans are stupid. Stupid country. Infinite suffering upon the first world. If you ain't paying attention in school, let misery be your teacher. Let me see if I can get slightly better video.
Joint. This is exactly the Trump administration. We all work together. We work it out to be the best. And if we sell, just remember, 200,000. There's a line for EB5 of 250,000 right now. 200,000 of these gold green cards is $1 trillion to pay down our debt. And that's why the president is doing it, because we are going to balance this budget and we are going to pay off the debt under President.
Yeah, I don't know if I covered this directly. Did I? I don't think I covered this directly. Yeah, Donald Trump is proposing that we make not American citizenship, but like getting an immigration pass an instant done deal if you're wealthy enough to pay $5 million for it.
Something else that's going to be very, very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus.
So I actually like this idea. I'm actually fine with this. I just think that we should reduce the price slightly from $5 million to $5. And then I think we've pretty much effectively opened borders, which, you know, fine by me.
Going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be...
I'm sure the Russian oligarchs will love this. I mean, Trump was directly asked if this would allow Russian oligarchs to immediately enter the country. And he said, it's possible. I know some Russian oligarchs that are good people. Hey, I know some Russian oligarchs that are very nice people, a jovial Trump said. Yeah, so, you know.
Be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. And never been done before or anything like this, but...
I don't see how this is a bad thing. Well, in practice, what's probably going to happen is that Elon and Donald Trump are trying to turn the United States of America into like the Cayman Islands, basically, or Monaco, or the UAE, or Dubai, or any one of those shit countries that basically exists as a playpen for wealthy people. If you're wealthy, you can just basically buy your way in, like that, no paperwork, whatever. Dubai's in the UAE, yeah, you could just run on in there. The extremely low taxes, extremely favorable, business graft, super easy, tiered system, you know, everything favors the wealthy, so on and so forth, you know. The UK has an investor visa. Do they? I didn't know that. Tier 1 investor visa. A sizable investment of $2 million or more and provides the fastest path to permanent settlement in the UK of all visas. God. Yeah, if you have enough money, you can usually buy in. It's just the audacity of employing this when you're pretending to be like an immigration hawk who venerates the innate value of blood and soil, American citizenry, and like anyone who immigrates has to be able to pass a 500-page immigration test, and you should be able to, like, you know, name the exact, like, every president and every vice president and so on, like all these tests that no American citizen would actually pass. And then it's like, oh, you can just buy your way in. This is different to a temporary visa. A gold card could allow people to buy citizenship. No. This isn't buying citizenship. It's just like buying a green card, basically. Like you just instantly buy a green card is the idea.
It's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to say a couple of words about it? Something else that's going to be very, very...
Buying permanent residence, yeah.
President Trump.
And to qualify, do you have to promise and make commitments to create a certain number of jobs here in the U.S.?
No, because not all these people are going to be job builders. They'll be...
He said it'll open a pathway to citizenship. Yeah, but we don't know what exactly. Like, having a green card does eventually give you a path to citizenship. But, like, a path is kind of like... I mean, everyone has a path to citizenship, right? You just have to get the green card and then wait 25 years or whatever.
Successful people, or there'll be people that were hired from colleges, like sort of like paying an athlete a bonus. I mean, Apple or one of the companies will go out and they'll spend they'll buy 5 of them, and they're going to get 5 people. Look, I've had the complaint from a lot of companies where they go out to hire people and they can't hire them out of colleges, and you know what they do? They go back to India, or they go back to the country where they came, and they open up a company. And they become billionaires. And they're employing thousands and thousands. There are a lot of examples. There are some really big examples where they were forced out of the country. They graduated top in their class at a great school, and they weren't able to stay.
Aren't the Cayman Islands super nice? Wouldn't that be good to live in? Yeah, if you're like a wealthy pedophile, they're probably nice. If you're one of the kids they traffic over, probably not. I feel like it's kind of a class distinction thing a little bit, maybe. Like, you know, it's like that in a lot of places. Monaco, Singapore, basically any place that's like like the Dubai. Like you're a wealthy visitor or you're a slave, basically.
This is all the time you hear it. And the biggest complaint I get from companies, other than over-regulation, which we took care of, but we're going to have to take care of it here because a lot of that was put back on by Biden. But the biggest complaint is the fact that they can't have any longevity with people. This way they have pretty much unlimited longevity. Also with the 5 million, you know, that's a path to citizenship. So that's going to be, it's sort of a green card plus, and it's a path to citizenship. We're going to call it the gold card. And I think it's going to be very treasured. I think it's going to do very well. And we're going to start selling hopefully in about 2 weeks. Now, just so you understand, if we sell 1 million, right, 1 million, That's $5 trillion. $5 trillion. Howard was using a different number, but that's $5 trillion. If we sell 10 million, which is possible, 10 million, highly productive.
Jesus Christ. It's like listening to tech startups be like, you know, we're creating a brand new NFT meant to appeal to, you know, people who are really into Gwyneth Paltrow. Think of how many people are fans of Gwyneth Paltrow. Millions. If we could capture just 1% of that market, we could be making billions. Buy in now. It's like every 10 million people buying the gold card. Jesus.
People coming in, or people that we're going to make productive. They'll be young, but they're talented, like a talented athlete. That's $50 trillion. That means our debt is totally paid off, and we have $15 trillion above that. And now I don't know that we're going to sell that many. Maybe we won't sell many at all, but I think we're going to sell a lot, because I think there really is a thirst. No other country can do this, because people don't want to go to other countries. They want to come here. Everybody wants to come here, especially since November 5th.
President, how can you
By the way, all these people will be vetted. Okay?
Mr.
Will be
President, on
vetted.
Ukraine, can you talk a little bit about what type of security guarantees you're willing to make?
Well, I'm not going to make security guarantees beyond very much. We're going to have Europe do that, because it's in, you know, we're talking about Europe as their next door neighbor. But we're going to make sure everything goes well. And as you know, we'll be making we'll be really partnering with Ukraine in terms of rare earth. We very much need rare earth. They have great rare earth.
Rare pepes.
We'll be working with Secretary Burgum and with Chris. You'll be working on that together. And we're going to be able to have tremendous, I mean, this gives us, because we don't have that much of it here. We have some, but we don't have that much, and we need a lot more to really propel us to the next level to lead in every way. We're leading right now with AI. We're leading with everything right now, but we need resources again. But, you know, it's an
I'm sorry about the
audio.
audio.
I won't do that out of respect to China.
Immigration enforcement.
Say it again, Lee?
On Gaza, I just wondered if there's any progress towards a second phase of the ceasefire.
Well, I'm very disappointed when I see four bodies came in today. These are young people. Young people don't die, okay? Young people don't die. These are young
Well, sure, I'll believe it.
people. 4 bodies came in today. They think they're doing us a favor by sending us bodies. So, look, that's a decision that has to be made by Israel, by Bibi. But Israel has to make that decision. We got a lot of hostages back, but it's very sad what happened to those people. I mean, you had a young lady with her hand practically blown off. You know why it blew up? People, you see that immediately when you see people that are 200 years old that are being sent checks for Social Security. Some of them are actually being sent checks, so we're tracing that down, and I have a feeling that Pam is going to do a very good job with that. But you have a lot of fraud. But no, I'm not. We're not doing anything on
Mr.
that.
President,
Part of your mission, sir,
Mr. President,
part of
you're
your
in
mission has
litigation.
been, thank you, I'm sorry. Part of your mission has been to restore executive control over the executive branch. Is it your view of your authority that you have the power to call up any one of or all of the people seated at this table and issue orders that they're bound to follow?
Oh yeah, they'll follow the orders. Yes.
What?
They will.
No exceptions.
No exception. Well, let's see. Let me think. Oh yeah. She'll have an
What a weird lead-in. What are we getting here?
exception. Of course, no exceptions. You know that.
Mr. President, can you clarify the Canada-Mexico tariffs? You had put that 30-day pause, but you just referred to April.
25%.
25%. When does it go into effect?
April 2nd.
April 2nd for Canada-Mexico.
Correct. And for everything.
Well, we have the fentanyl-related is a pause. If they can prove to the president they've done an excellent job, that's what they first do in 30
Have
days.
you guys seen any
But then the
change?
overall is April 2nd. So the big transaction is April 2nd, but the fentanyl-related things, they're working hard on the border. At the end of that 30 days, they have to prove to the president that they've satisfied him to that regard. If they have,
It's gonna be hard
he'll
to
give them a pause, or he won't. But
It's going to be
up
hard to
him. We'll see.
satisfy.
It's so bad, even from a strategic perspective, because the entire time that they're delaying, Canada and Mexico are strengthening their ability to withstand these tariffs. Like, both Scheinbaum and Trudeau have both made it very clear, like, they understand this is an antagonistic era. It's not just playful banter or whatever. They are, like, Trudeau has already been pushing for a lessening of the provincial trade barriers in Canada. And my understanding is that Scheinbaum is currently digging trenches along the border and landmining the crossings. She has been very aggressive in her language and in her preparations for the upcoming tariffs. Like, I'm sure they're happy to see it delayed for as long as possible, but like giving them this amount of time, because the American economy isn't preparing. We're not preparing at all. Donald Trump isn't doing anything to shore up domestic manufacturing. Literally nothing. He's not doing anything to secure these lines. He's just like hoping the private sector like prepares as needed.
Lose 300,000 people a year to fentanyl. Not 100, not 95, not 60 like you read. You know, you've been reading it for years. We lost, in my opinion, over the last couple of years, on average, maybe close to 300,000 people dead. And the families are ruined, you know, when they lose a daughter.
We lose about 80,000 people a year to fentanyl, I think. It's the majority of drug overdose deaths.
When they lose a son, the families are never the same. You're never going to be the same. So you're talking about 1 million people. But when the daughters die, I see it, daughters die and the sons die because of fentanyl. And in
the
some cases,
non-binary children, they die too.
They're buying something else and it's laced with fentanyl and they end up dying. And I've known many people who've lost children to fentanyl and for other reasons, but to fentanyl, it's such a big killer. And those people are never the same people. I mean, I've seen people that for the rest of their lives, they're not the same people. They're so different, it's not even believable. Dynamic people, happy people they die a miserable death. And that's because of the crap that comes in through China and through Mexico and through Canada. A lot of it comes through Canada. Look, we support Canada. $200 billion a year in subsidies, one way or the other.
Trade deficit is not a subsidy. We get things for the money we spend.
We let them make millions of cars. We let them send us lumber. We don't need their lumber. We're going to free up our lumber. Lee's going to do that.
What he means by free up our lumber is deforest national parks, by the way. They're already like laying the groundwork for that.
Head of environmental, we're going to free up our lumber. We have the best lumber there is. We don't need their lumber. What do we need their lumber for? When you look at we subsidize them.
We actually really need their lumber, by the way.
$200 billion a year. Without us, Canada can't make it. You know, Canada relies on us 95%.
I know I've provided this comparison before, but I just want to because I think it really illustrates how stupid this administration is, and they know it, which is that saying that America is losing out because we give more money to Canada for their goods than they give to us for our goods would be like saying that a wealthy man who buys high-quality shoes from a shoe shop is losing out on that deal because he's not also spending an equivalent amount of time making shoes to sell to that shoe shop so that they give him the money back. Like, why would he do that? The point is that he has the money and they have the shoes.
Rely on them 4%. Big difference. And I say Canada should be our 51st state. There's no tariffs, no nothing. And I say that we give them military protection. They have a very small military. They spend very little money on military. On NATO, they're just about last in terms of payment because they say, why should we spend on military? That's a tremendous cost. Most nations can't afford to even think about it. Why should we spend on military? The United States protects us. And
he needs to drop the state thing. Why? It's not going to happen. It basically just needlessly antagonizes Canada, which better sets them against America. You know that as of recently, the liberals in Canada are actually polling higher than conservatives. It's one of the biggest turnarounds in modern history for opinion polling. Pierre's Conservative Party in Canada basically had no identity outside of being anti-Trudeau. So if Trudeau steps down, which he is, and he gets replaced, which he will be, presumably with that financier forget his name, it seems like the Canadian people want him more. Incredible. Carney. Yeah, no, look at this. This turnaround is absolutely... And it's not just conservatives switching to liberal. It's New Democratic voters switching to liberal too. Because you can even see Quebecois voters going down. See? You see the downturn right here? Like a united front against American fascism. It does not help that the conservatives basically had no identity outside of MAGA but Canada. You know? God bless Carney. God bless the Canadian Liberal Party. Carney, fire the missiles.
I would say that's largely true. We protect Canada, but it's not fair. It's not fair that they're not paying their way. And if they had to pay their way, they couldn't exist. When I spoke to, let's call it the Prime Minister rather than the governor, but when I spoke to him, I said, why are we giving you $200 billion a year? He was unable to answer the question. I said, why are we letting you make millions of cars and send them in? He was unable to answer the question. Justin Trudeau, a nice guy. I think he's a very good guy. I call him Governor Trudeau. He should be governor, because the fact is that if we don't give them cars, we don't have to give them cars. The tariffs will make it impossible for them to sell cars into the United States. The tariffs will make it impossible for them to sell lumber or anything else into the United States. And all I'm asking to do is break even or lose a little bit, but not lose $200 billion. And we love Canada. I love Canada. I love the people of Canada.
I didn't hate Pierre till he went MAGA. Well, you should have hated him from the get-go, but he literally, didn't his chief of staff literally wear a MAGA hat? Yeah, I think I found it. Like, it's American fascist monoculture. It's the same reason why French conservatives say les wokism and reform voters in the United Kingdom talk about DEI, you know? We are the global center for fascism. Like, it's remarkable. The two centers for global conservatism are America and Russia. Russia in like a funding the far right, spread disinfo online kind of way, and America in like an overwhelming business tyranny, like talking point and legitimization kind of way, you know? I'm being blinded here? Yeah, no kidding.
And, but honestly, it's not fair for us to be supporting Canada. And if we don't support them, they don't subsist as a nation. Okay?
Mr. President, on the EU tariffs, Mr. President, have you just made a decision on what level you will seek on tariffs in the European Union?
We have made a decision.
It's pathetic on the contrast that American liberalism has no cultural pull. It did back in the 1930s and 40s. The Roosevelt New Deal, Keynesianism, we kind of literally had like the blueprint for the modern world for a solid chunk of time. But since neoliberalism, since the end of the Cold War, no. No, even earlier than that. I would say since the Vietnam War. Basically up until, I would say up until Watergate. I would say up until thereabouts. Before then, American liberalism had a global cultural pull and a degree of respect and influence. And I would say there was, a window of time. But after that, it was mostly just about like, I can't really think of a moment we had past that point where liberalism really won a cultural battle outside the borders of this country. They basically cut it off at civil rights. Yeah, kind of. That was like the last big victory. It was like we got civil rights, an end to segregation, and that was the big global wave that we contributed to, I suppose. But after that, American liberalism, that was like the last gasp of the institution's tolerance for any leftward movement. Gay marriage? We were kind of behind the times on gay marriage legalization compared to some other Western countries, weren't we? That wasn't really us leading the fight. That was us following along. Same with weed legalization, you know? We were kind of late on that curve. I don't know, whatever. I'm generalizing history here, yeah.
Announcing it very soon, and it'll be 25%. Generally speaking, and that'll be on cars and all other things. And European Union is a different case than Canada, different kind of case. They've really taken advantage of us in a different way. They don't accept our cars. They don't accept essentially our farm products. They use all sorts of reasons why not. And we accept everything of them, and we have about a $300 billion deficit with the European Union. Now, I love the countries of Europe.
I have a massive trade deficit with my local grocery store as well. It's a real issue, you know? I've been thinking of taking the time to cook up some grub and go and sell it to them for cash, but I just haven't had the time. Really losing in this interaction.
I guess I'm from there at some point a long time ago, right? But indirectly. Pretty directly, too, I guess. But I love the countries of Europe. I love all countries, frankly, all different. But the European Union's it was formed in order to screw the United States. I mean, look, let's be honest. The European Union was formed in order to screw the United States. That's the purpose.
Dog, it's so over for American hegemony. It's a wonderful century. I just didn't think it would be Chinese. It's incredible. Literally nothing but negative things to say about our allies and nothing but positive things to say about our enemies. It's unbelievable. Are you kidding me? The EU was formed to screw the United States. They're our ally, dog. We benefit so much. That we really do. We deserve punishment for this in a biblical fashion, you know? The degree of arrogance that we have, this is literally like the American equivalent of North Korean propaganda about how Kim Jong-il could at any moment destroy the United States, but chooses not to because he takes pity upon the poor brainwashed lumpen proletariat. Well, that's true. Well, yeah, that's true, but it's like that, you know? It's like we are so arrogant, you know? Oh, man. He's clueless and it's crazy. Well, again, I still think that he wants to turn America into Dubai. Like, he wants America to basically be like a shithole two-tier tax haven for wealthy people where 90% of the population exists to, like, build monuments or whatever, and the remaining 10% gets to run around fucking kids or whatever the Donald Trump would be doing if he was 25 years younger. It's not about American growth or American strength. Who needs American manufacturing? You can do that shit in China. Like, the world doesn't need us to manufacture anything, you know? Just become a playground for the ultra wealthy. More so than we already are. Because the big problem is that in most countries where it's basically like a playground for the wealthy, there are either basically no people, there's no local culture, or there are like weird political or social or religious systems in that area that make it difficult to really cut loose. In Dubai and Saudi Arabia, there's no local culture, and it's pretty difficult to cut loose because of the whole like Islamic radicalism thing, you know? In places like the Cayman Islands, there's no one there. You're just on a resort, basically. America could be the world's first wealthy person playground that is a true, real country, a developed country. Singapore, yeah, but Singapore's government is authoritarian. Also, Singaporean culture nothing compares to American culture. This is a real country, and they're gonna break it, and they're gonna break it, and they're gonna pulverize it into dust, and they're gonna turn it into they're gonna turn the whole goddamn country into Little St. James.
And they've done a good job of it, but now I'm president.
What will happen if these countries or the EU retaliate?
They can't. I mean, they can try, but they can't.
China did. They
are
imposed
pledging
tariffs
to, sir.
that went into effect. China's retaliatory tariffs on the 10th of February. Has there been any impact that you've been able to observe?
That's right. No, they can do it, and they can try, but the numbers can never equal what ours, because we can go off. We are the pot of gold. We're the one that everybody wants, and they can retaliate, but it cannot be a successful retaliation because we just go cold turkey. We don't buy anymore, and if that happens, we win.
Are you talking to Eric Prince about privatizing deportations?
No, I haven't.
Mr. President, you're in litigation with CBS News. Is this a case?
All right.